Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video where I'm taking part in two hops. Firstly, celebrating 1,000 subscribers for Shannon Keith. Congratulations, Shannon. In addition, I'm taking part in a hop run by Christine Steele-Harden from Scrapping Harden, where we are required to add 29 different things to our page, given that it's the 29th of February. So we'll keep track of that as we go. But Shannon's challenge was to show something where we had taken a leap, whether it be career-wise or literally taking a leap. So this is my first venture into direct sales when I sold Emma Page jewellery back in, it must be 1982. So I'm going to follow a sketch from the Follow a Sketch February, and it's this one here done by Susan Stringfellow from Sketch Savvy, and it's the sketch for the 29th of February for Follow a Sketch February with Scrapping Reflections. Because my photo is landscape orientation, I'm going to turn the sketch sideways and use these 5 different colours to make the oblong squares, which will now be at the top because I've turned it sideways. So I'm going to do some different things with the oblongs, and each one measures 2 inches long and 1 inch high. So initially I'm taking 3 and putting them through this 4x4 embossing folder, and then I've got another embossing folder here which will put little flowers on them. Now this embossing folder also comes with a stencil, and I'll use the stencil on the second set that I do. Now these 2 new embossing folders are from Close to My Heart in the March-April catalogue, so this is a day ahead where you get to see me use them. So on the second lot that I do, I need to put them on my all-purpose mat and line the stencil up. You can see I've put top at the top of it so that I know which way up it goes, and then I can use my blending brushes to just highlight the flowers that come through. So using mulberry ink on the mulberry cardstock, toffee on the shortbread, which is at the top, and black on the one at the bottom, which I believe is mink. So my thinking is that when I've got plain cardstock, embossed cardstock, stenciled cardstock, that's 3 different things on my page out of the 29. And then also in that pile of cardstock I have some patterned paper, some holographic paper, some glitter paper, and I'm also going to stamp some other plain cardstock. So that gives me 7 bits to start with. So here I am stamping. Now this stamp comes from the Sweet Memories range in the January-February catalogue. I'm just going to do it with black ink on the mink cardstock, and I've put the scrap paper underneath because it's obviously just going to go over all the edges, and I'll use mulberry ink on the mulberry, and it comes out, it kind of looks like a vintage type stamp, so it's quite pretty really. And again I'll use the toffee colour ink on the shortbread cardstock, so that gives me 3 pieces of that to go into the top. And then I need to work out where they're going to go. So I've got them in their piles of colours, and I'm just working them around to see what goes where. So initially trying to not put anything together that are the same, and then having a second look and moving the colours around until I'm happy with them. So there's 25 oblongs here, and they make up 5 rows of 5. But as we said before, there are 7 different styles of cardstock here by the time we're finished. So there will be some left over, and I can use them in a different project. And when I'm happy with these in the order that I want them in, I want to keep them in that order while I do some mixed media on the white daisy. So I wasn't quite sure what colour I wanted to do the mixed media in, which is why I did the oblongs first. But now that I've seen them on the white daisy, I know I want to use the Victorian Velvet Distress Oxide, which I've got there. So I'll just squeeze a little bit of that on my all-purpose mat, spray it with some water, and use the plastic bag technique to squish some on the bottom right hand side of the white daisy. And then because there's some left on the mat, I'm going to turn the white daisy upside down and just smush it on the top left so that it kind of goes across the page. So I'll wipe the mat off and pop that to one side to dry. And I'll prepare some texture paste to go over the top of that. So just, you look how manky that Glad wrap is, but it keeps it nice and moist, so it works quite well. I'll use some mulberry ink to mix with the texture paste to give it that slightly off pink look, and mix that really well so that it's all evenly coloured. However, I haven't cleaned the stencil that I'm going to use, so there will be a little bit of a darker tone to it, and that doesn't worry me at all. It'll just help show it up against the background of Victorian velvet. So using the same stencil that I used on the cardstock above, I'm just doing this in 3 different spots to get little flowers underneath where the photo is going to go, and up on the top right underneath where the squares, the oblongs will go. And then I do have some left over when I'm finished these 3 little spots, so I actually go away and use up the leftover texture paste on a piece of scrap white daisy, which I'll be able to use in cards or something later on. Okay, so now that that's all dry, I can bring the Versamat in and line up these little oblongs, and I've got them all ordered because that's what we did before. Now I've started with the first one 1/4 of an inch down and 1/4 of an inch in, and I'm leaving 1/4 of an inch gap between each one. Now I know before I start mathematically that that's not going to fill up evenly to the edge, but that's okay, because when I get to the side I'm going to trim it so that we end up with a frame around the outside. So I'll just go away and trim it the same width on 2 sides. So that will give me a space to put a piece of mulberry behind later on. So there we are, they're all stuck down, and that's where the photo's going to go. The next thing I want to do is bring in some ribbon. And this lovely organza ribbon just suits the mood of the page. So I'll put a little bit of tape runner on the front to hold it in place, and then flip over the top and stick it down. Using the Versamat, I can make sure that the bottom piece folds over in exactly the same line, so that on the front it's going to be straight. Now there will be a bow go over that sticky piece that I put on the front, but before I do that I want to add some stitching to the bottom and the top. Now this is on the sketch, and I do enjoy adding just a little bit of stitching here and there. So using the T-ruler with the holes in it, I'm just going to prepare the bottom, and I've got some variegated cotton, which is quite a thick thread, and I'll pull it through to leave a tail behind, and I'm actually going to do stem stitch. So that involves coming up through the first hole, missing the second, going down in the third, and then coming back to come up in the second hole. And leaving the loop of thread towards the middle of the page means that it will all be facing the same way. So I'll tie the back off there and just stick that down with a little bit of tape runner, and then I'll do the same up the top. So again, using the T-ruler and punching some holes with my piercing tool, I'm going a little bit each side of the ribbon, so it looks like it's stitching the ribbon. Well, it is in fact stitching the ribbon at both sides. So here's the end of the stem stitch here, and you can see me coming past the stitch and then coming back to go up into the middle. So missing one and then going back. So it's kind of like the wrong side of back stitch really, and keeping that thread again into the middle of the page so that it all goes the same way. And then I can turn that over once that's all stitched off and make the bow to go over that sticky bit. So you can slow this down if you want to see how this is made. It's quite simple to do, and using your fingers you end up with a double bow, which is quite a good size and looks good on the page too. So then I can use a little piece of liquid glass on top of the ribbon because the tape runner just won't stick it. So I'll use some liquid glass and then trim the sides so that they're the right length, and I'll actually use a little bit of tape runner underneath the tails to stick them down where I want them on the page. But the liquid glass is what you need to stick the ribbon to the ribbon. Okay, so I'll put a little bit of weight on there and put it to one side to dry, and then I'll mount this photo. Now I think shortbread is the best colour to mount this in because of the colouring of it. It's quite an old photo, and I'm really thankful to my dad for taking it. It's been in a horrible sticky album for some time, so that's why I had to just stick the top back down to the bottom. So I'm really happy to get it out of that dangerous environment and get it properly preserved. I'm bringing in a little bit more mulberry and mink down around the photo, just to bring it down from the top of the page around the photo, and remember it will also be in the frame around the outside when I bring that in. So the colours kind of mix quite well, and I'll make a journaling box here which combines both the mink and the mulberry together. Then I can bring the mulberry piece in behind, and you can see how that just lifts it all nicely with that colour. So I can stick the circle and the little doily and the journaling box down, and then add the photo in as well. And by my reckoning, when I do a bit of a count up, that gets me to about 18 or 19 things on the page. So we have a little way to go yet. But once that's all stuck down, I have some extra little die cuts that have come from the Sweet Memories die cut sheet. So that makes number 21. And I've put a little photo op on the top of the journaling box and a couple of little squiggles in different places. So there's 3 of those. So now the journaling's complete, I'm going to add a piece of silver thread through the top of the journaling box to make it look a little bit like a wall hanging. And so we don't need a needle and thread for this. I'm just going to thread it through one side, thread it through the other, put a knot in the top, cut it off, and put a little bit of tape runner behind it to stick it down so that it's in the place I want it to be. I'm really looking forward to seeing what everybody else does on these hops, particularly the one where you've got 29 things to go on a page. It's quite fun adding up all the different ways we add embellishments and different things to our story. As you can see, I've added a stamp here. For some reason it didn't film, but that's okay. It's the EP that I've added for Emma Page, and I'm just writing the rest of the title in there and a little bit around the circle. And then I can add some glitter gems underneath to fill in that little gap. The Sweet Memories sticker sheet has a nice little sticker that just says snapshot, which I'm adding in here because it was a snapshot that my dad took while I was packing up some jewellery. And then I'm just adding a little bit of shimmer brush on these 2 blank spots here before I put more things on it, and you can see that when I show it up close. I've got a couple of pieces of wood veneer that I'm going to add also, so this little tag down the bottom, and then I want to add 2 more things in so that again we're grouping in 3s. So I've got this little heart which is going to go up on top of the shimmer brush that I've put in the mulberry circle, and I'll put this tag down here, and I'll find another little piece of wood veneer to go on the mink doily, just to bring in that 3rd element. As you go through building a page, the embellishments get smaller and smaller. So now that I've got those in place, I'll add a few little stickles. So I've got some silver stickles that I'll do in little groups of 3 in different spots. And then I'll get the liquid pearls also and add some little black dots. Now they take a while to dry, so I should have done them absolutely last, but I did keep thinking of different things that I could add. So I'll do these 3 dots, and then I did leave it to dry for some time, and then I found some sequins, which I thought would be a good idea too, given that Emma Page was a jewellery company and that's what I was doing. We're all about sparkles. So I'll add a few little extra sparkles with sequins in different spots. They're best stuck down with liquid glass. Also, tape runner doesn't seem to work for them either. So to my reckoning now we're up to number 29. I think sequins makes the 29th item on top of this page, but I did then find some puffy stickers, and so I do put a few of those on at the end also. So that's the end of my hop, or my 2 hops, for the 29 leap day items, and also taking a leap for Shannon Keith and her 1,000 subbies. Congratulations again, Shannon, and I look forward to seeing what everybody else has come up with for these 2 hops. So follow along with me and see what's there. I do have at the end a list of all the things that I have put on this page. If you want to do a bit of an audit on my 29 things, I'll just add at the end the puffy stickers, and I think that makes number 30. So thanks for watching everybody, and happy crafting!